All right, gang, let's dive right into it. Welcome to another edition of Webinar Wednesday by Brilliant Directories. We're basically here to help support you guys with tips and strategies to help grow your online community. So it's great to be with you guys here today. If this is your first time joining us, I'm Jason there on the left, and we're lucky to be joined by Rick and David today in the webinar. Rick is one of the support specialists here. Chances are you've either emailed with Rick in the past or had a phone training session with him, and David is the digital strategist here, actually helping pull all the strings behind the scenes for the webinars and a lot of the other content we create here at Brilliant Directories. So guys, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to be with you here on the webinar.
Thank you, Jason. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, it's great to be back with all of you again this week. We've got a really great presentation coming up, and I think you'll all enjoy it and get some beneficial information out of it.
All right, great. Well, let's dive right into it here. I always like to mention, if you are not already a member, feel free to join us on Facebook. You can go to brilliantdirectories.com/Facebook. It's a great place to keep the discussions going in between webinar Wednesdays. I'm in there. The participation from the group members there is just out of this world. It's nice to see that everyone's busy working on their sites and making incremental progress week after week. So if you haven't already done so, take a moment. You can go to brilliantdirectories.com/Facebook, and we'll continue the conversations there. And I always like to mention this for the newbies joining us here in Webinar Wednesday. It's great to be with you. Thank you for taking the time. It's really educational, and we always learn from each other. What we really like to focus on here in the Webinar Wednesdays are tips for growing your community, your online community. You know, nowadays it's very easy to get a site online and launch it with a tool or a theme or a platform like Brilliant Directories, but growing your community does require some strategy, and that's kind of for a lot of us, we wear different hats in the organization. You're setting up the site, you're doing the marketing, you're managing the finances, you're creating the content, and it can be overwhelming. So this is a time to kind of regroup yourself, come with any questions that you have, and we can cover any topics for marketing and growing your site, things like how to bring traffic to your site, converting visitors to members, identifying different revenue opportunities for your specific industry. And I always like to mention this one. My personal favorite is how to improve and even simplify the navigation on your website so that you do have clicks and conversions and people utilizing your site for the purpose you've created it for. So if you have questions on any of these things, or if it comes to you later in the webinar, please jot it down, and we'll be able to pick up on those discussions very soon. All right, today, actually just a few moments ago, we don't have any BD Lab updates today, but we do have a highly anticipated new add-on that's finally released, the profile cover photo. We've launched a phase 1 version of this. I've checked it out, I've tested it. It's working great. It's going to allow your members to add an additional personal touch to their profile pages. And I just wanted to demo exactly how the profile cover photo works. If you're a member of the VIP add-ons club, you have this instantly on the sites that you have the add-ons club for. If not, you can always go to our Brilliant Directories website and opt to add it to a specific site of your choice. So what I wanted to do is just do a quick overview of some of the settings with the profile cover photo, and then also get some feedback, who's been waiting for this one and how you plan on using it for your site. So the first thing we'll do is we'll hop on over to the admin area of your site. And this will work very similar to how you enable members to add a profile photo, a logo image to their profile. And now you'll have this third option to allow them to or not allow them to also have a profile cover photo. So because it's a membership level setting, basically we want to edit one of our products. So we'll head on over to Finance, to the Manage Products section. And in this example, we'll edit the premium plan on this site. So this will be in the Profile tab here. And when you have the add-on enabled, for right now it's the last option, Enable Profile Cover Photo. Important note, this will always be set default to no. So if you have the VIP add-ons club, this setting will be there, but for all your membership levels, it's currently set to no. You'll have to come in here and choose to enable it by selecting yes. So I'll go ahead and do that and just save the changes. Great. And And now let's log in as a member, and we can go ahead and add a profile cover photo. I got some peaceful images, and this site has yoga instructors, so I'll just search for yoga here, and we can log in as a member here. We'll do sunburst yoga. So basically what the member will now see is in the profile photo section of their listing, they have their profile photo, they have their logo. There is now a third section here, a profile cover photo. Now, in this phase, we recommend 1140 by 200 pixels. 1140 is basically the total width of your site from left to right, and 200 seems like a reasonable height for the images for now. So this is a text label. If you wanted to translate these instructions in your language, you can certainly do so. Just search for the text labels and make the changes. So very similar to adding a profile photo and a profile logo, you can go ahead and click the blue button and then choose the image from your site. In this case, I'm going to choose like an ocean view because yoga is peaceful and nature and all that good stuff. So actually very similar to the Facebook timeline cover photo. Once your image is uploaded, you can basically slide the view up and down to take a snippet of the picture you want. Now, some of your more savvy users will create an exact image, 1140 by 200 pixels, and have exactly what they want, but the system is smart enough to know if the image is larger, the height at least, and then it will allow the user to scroll up and down so they can take a snippet of the section that they're looking for. So we'll just take half clouds and half sky, and we'll just do the crop tool, and that should be it. And we're all done. So now we have a profile cover photo, and we can go to the listing here. Okay, great. So now if I go into mobile view, so we can see that it will resize accordingly with the available width of the page. So they'll always have that little snippet of their personal touch on their profile pages, whether it's on a tablet or on a full desktop view. And honestly, it's pretty simple and very straightforward. So I don't think that any of your members will have any trouble with this. More importantly, this gives you, the website owner, big news. You can release a newsletter to your community, let them know that this functionality is now available. Perhaps you want to just make this available for your premium members, so your higher tiered members can have more decorated profiles and personalized profiles with this feature, because you can enable and disable it per membership level. So what I'd like to do is just take a moment to see if anyone has any questions on how this works. If you have the VIP add-ons club, maybe we could test it out on your site as well. If you want to use the raise your hand feature, we can take any questions about this add-on. All right.
We do have a few questions here in the chat, Jay.
All right.
So we are wondering about the supported files by the profile cover. So basically the same as the media manager, correct?
Correct. To my knowledge, well, the Media Manager does support PDF uploads, PDF files. To my knowledge, it would be PNG. We're talking about the image file formats. JPEG, PNG. I think GIFs, GIFs. I think those three would be it. They're predominantly the main types of image file formats that can be uploaded.
Perfect. That's great. The other one was, what are you hoping to add to the future phases of the tool? I guess that's a useful question.
That's a good question. So actually, Vincent had a good option, is potentially having a fallback default image that could be up there. That seems like a good option. Another one is better control over the height of the image. So right now it's set to 200. That seemed like the standard size to utilize, so it doesn't take up too much height of the page. And then honestly, we wanted to release this and just get some user feedback. We can't think of everything, so the best thing to do is just get feedback from the community, see what the popular requests are, and see what seems feasible and practical to add in a phase 2 launch of this. For example, with the sitemap generator add-on, we hadn't thought of it, but it was highly requested that the sitemap has a method for automatically updating itself periodically. So with that user feedback, we eventually implemented that in a phase 2 update of the sitemap generator. So to be honest, any ideas you have, why don't we just start it in the Facebook group right now. Let's do this. I'll start a discussion here. The profile, cover photo add-on, let's do this right, cover photo add-on is now live. We'd love your feedback and also any suggestions for phase 2 features.
Perfect.
And what I'll do is I'll actually link it here so people can read more about it. And we'll put it into the universe. There we go. So anyone on this webinar, if you got any thoughts later, you can come to the Facebook group and we can have a discussion about it.
Nice, Jason. Great.
All right.
Those are basically the ones that we have at this point.
Great.
Thank you.
Cool. All right. So yeah, we'll see how everyone uses this, and can't wait to hear everyone's feedback. The tip of the week. This is something really important, and the tip of the week, we were thinking about it because of the questions we see in the Facebook group, and David and I were kind of wrestling and grappling with what we should cover this week. And we have a 7-step pre-launch checklist for membership websites. But the good news is about this checklist is it doesn't apply just to new sites, actually. You can refer back to this checklist at any stage of your of how your community is developing. So Dave, can you tell us a little bit of who this guide is for and what we can expect diving into the 7-step pre-launch checklist?
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's targeted more towards people who are just getting started with building their membership sites. However, even if you've had your site online for several years, maybe you're finding that your membership growth is beginning to plateau, or you're not quite sure what additional services or products you can provide to your members to keep them interested in your site and maintain them as members in your community, then you can always refer back to this checklist, if you will, and get a better idea of maybe what questions you can be asking yourself, what elements of your community you should review, how you should be thinking about certain aspects of your directory site. And hopefully all of these different things will give all of you some greater insight into how to not only start a membership community, but also how to keep one growing. And so this checklist includes 7 questions that you should be asking yourself. Again, these are the ones that you want to ask yourself when you're first starting your membership community, but it would be a good idea to continue to ask yourself these same questions throughout the lifetime of your membership community. So the first one would be, what problem will you be solving? That's the main question, that's kind of the thesis of your directory website.
That's awesome. And actually, rather than going through them one by one here, let's just dive in because we have more detailed notes on each one of these. But yeah, the biggest question we all need to ask ourselves is what problem we're solving. And sometimes we have a good idea, but we really, in our minds, we've answered this question. But it's really, really important to put pen to paper and to think about what problem you're solving, and also the specific words and terminology and phrases you're going to use when you're identifying exactly what the problem is. So 90% of the time, anyone creating an online community is targeting a specific group of people or a niche or a certain locality or area or region. For example, Colette's website is targeting businesses and people in the Selwyn area in New Zealand. So first we want to do is find an audience that's going to potentially convert into subscribers or members or followers or people who are going to be part of your community. So you can ask yourself what industry you'll be targeting. What are the difficulties people in that industry may be having? And it doesn't always need to be businesses. It could be consumers. I've seen tons of websites targeting moms or dads, or just everyday people. They're not necessarily businesses, but you have to identify what problem that they're facing, and also what other options there are out there for them to have a solution to that problem. And the most important thing is, like David said, you want to have like a thesis argument for your site. And part of that is picking one main issue that your website will address for that market. You can always broaden it later, but if you have one main issue, that's going to help you identify the problem you're solving and how you can articulate that your website is going to be solving that problem.
Exactly. So the second question you need to ask yourself is not only is there a problem, but is that problem recurrent? Is there a possibility that you can kind of, and we'll get into this term in the next couple slides, but can you drip feed content and resources to your members as well as your website visitors to keep them coming back for more? You don't want to be a one-stop shop with your website. You know, it's kind of like like when you're trying to start up a conversation with somebody, you don't want to just ask them yes or no questions, because that's a quick way to just end the conversation right there. You want to ask them deep conversations that can, you know, keep it going and kind of have some banter back and forth. That's kind of the same way you want to think about a membership community. You want to be able to consistently solve either a recurrent problem or multiple problems that your target audience is facing. And of course, along with that, you want to be a valuable resource. So you don't want to provide a poor experience that people, while they may be getting something out of it, they may still end up choosing a competitor or just saying, you know what, it's not worth my effort. So you want to be a valuable resource, easy to use, easy to understand, and you want to provide consistent resources and information to your audience. And that's essentially what leads to a successful membership website, is providing that long-term support. If people are going to be purchasing a membership on your website, or if you're providing them with free memberships and then having, you know, pay per lead or additional forms of revenue that way, the only way to keep them as members on your site is to continue to be a useful resource to them. It's like Netflix. If Netflix just stopped releasing new movies, new TV shows on their platform, they'd lose a lot of their subscribers because, well, there'd be nothing left to get out of it once you've exhausted those provided resources. So you want to consistently be providing your users something of value.
And that could be content. It can also be providing businesses with leads. You know, so you just have to figure out what people will always be continuously be hungry for, and that's what you or your website can provide to that audience. Number 3 is actually pretty important. Is your solution efficient? Meaning, are you able to, one, turn a profit where you're not expending more resources than you're giving out to your community? So a lot of membership websites are drip feeders, meaning that if you want to provide your community with some fresh content that you can, that's not taking all your time to create, because then you wouldn't be able to do other things. But also for your members that are digesting the information, it's easy for them to execute or gain a benefit from the solution that you're offering without too many complications or wasting too much of their time as well. So you really want to make sure you're a consistent resource for your users and your members, and you don't want to be a one-stop shop. You don't want to necessarily solve the problem in one shot. But for example, if someone needs leads, they don't need leads one time, they need them continuously. So you want to make sure that you're able to capture leads, for example, from consumers, and then efficiently distribute them to your members. That's what BD's awesome at also as well. But then your members can quickly purchase the leads, contact the consumer, and that is an efficient system for solving a problem with your solution. So yeah, your solution, you have to ask yourself, does your solution benefit your users while requiring them to consistently return to your website for your services? So you can do proper research and determine if you want to provide a constant useful feed to your users, because the information we dispense to the users as well, it keeps your brand top of mind for them, and also it brands you as an industry thought leader and authority within your industry for being an expert for the problem that you're solving for your community. So when we talk about efficiency, it's on both ends. It's on your ability to provide the solution for the problem, and for your community to absorb and execute with that information. You want it to be efficient. simple example, Uber. Uber, you can push 2 buttons and the driver knows where to go and you know where to go, and the ride is completed. So that is an efficient marketplace.
Exactly. The follow-up to that would be that you need to identify that niche problem that has a healthy audience. We talk about this a lot. When you're first starting out with a new directory site, you do want to find a specific niche, because it'll be easier to infiltrate a target industry if there's not a whole lot of competitors. For example, if you're trying to start an e-commerce site, now it's going to be pretty difficult when you have competitors like Walmart and especially Amazon and all these other e-commerce marketplaces. However, if you can find a smaller niche where there is an existing problem and an audience that's willing to pay for a solution to that problem, then that's the gold mine right there. So you don't want to have such a broad target industry that it's hard for you to infiltrate and hard for you to grow, but you also don't want to be so niche that there's hardly any room to grow in it.
Yeah, and then following up with that, if you can successfully identify that there is an audience, the question is, are they willing to pay? Because again, if you're going to be providing resources, creating content, expending energy and resources for your project, it helps to get a return so you can keep the wheel spinning with your project. So you have to find out, is the audience willing to pay? The ultimate goal here is to generate revenue for you and your organization. So your website is a product. People are going to interact with it. People are going to look for information in your website, look for your website to do certain functions. And you need to provide a worthwhile transaction for your members to want to take their wallets out and actually pay for something. So a lot of that is setting up your site with the right words and verbiage that emotionally connect with people. So part of getting people to pull out their wallets is marketing. There's psychology behind it. You have to motivate people. You have to give them a reason, create a sense of urgency, all those things that make people want to buy or feel like they need to buy things. Sometimes it could be out of necessity that they need your service. Sometimes it's people go to movies, they spend money at the movies. That's for a joyful experience. So you have to figure out if your audience is willing to pay for what you're offering. So some things that you can offer with your Brilliant Directories website, obviously, is you could provide your members with leads, access to premium, exclusive industry-related content. You can help increase their online visibility by providing them with profiles, allowing them to publish photo albums, and then also additional advertising opportunities. Maybe they want to purchase an additional banner ad slot on your sidebar, on your header or footer. There's tons of things that you can offer to your audience. We just need to figure out, are they willing to pay for it? Does your site have a high enough perceived value where people are going to want to engage with your site with regards to actually paying for something?
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point that I wanted to touch on. In terms of thinking of your directory website as a product, and generating revenue, there's two forks in the road that you need to address. One of them is that marketing psychological aspect of it. That's what kind of gets your website visitors, and more specifically your members, in the door. That's what immediately gets them attracted to what it is you're offering. It's what piques their interest. How you sell yourself, it's kind of their first impression. And then after that, you ultimately have to keep them happy and interested and providing value. And so that's where identifying the correct solution comes into play. So you have to have those good marketing elements to provide them with a good first impression of your product. And then you have to have that valuable solution that keeps them coming back for more. And if you don't have that correct solution, then you may find yourself losing members. So both of those aspects are equally important.
And also on this topic, because this is one of the most important things, is the audience willing to pay? They probably are, but to make sure that they pay, feedback is important. And when you're asking their users what their problems are, what solutions they wish existed, we want to regurgitate the same words that they're using onto your website to make that emotional connection, so they know that your website is talking their language and your website is more in line with the way that they're thinking and their thoughts. So I go to a lot of sites. People are sharing their sites in the Facebook group, and their main title on their website says "Search for members now." That's the most generic thing. That's incorrect. You don't want to do that, because that doesn't help your site have a higher perceived value of what its mission and purpose is and why it exists. So you want to make sure at every turn of your site you're creating an emotional connection. I'll show you a very simple example. Before the webinar, Esteban and I was just checking out the BD Blocks website with him, and this button up here said register free, and the red button up there. So register free is fine, but I want to start building pages if I'm on the BD Blocks pages. So I recommended to kind of just update the text here to start building pages. Now, that was just a few moments ago. I don't know if it's actually having an impact on getting people to click that button, but theoretically, start building pages would probably resonate a bit better with someone who's coming to a landing page builder site rather than register free. You don't know what you're registering for. So just a small tip there.
Yeah, I think with the big thing with that element of it, and that button text example, is you have to place yourself in the shoes of your website visitor. You might know exactly what it is you're offering, and either you might think you know or you do know what the problem in the target industry is for the audience, and you may be providing that solution. But if they come to your website and they're not automatically in that same mindset as you are, then you may be losing out on some conversions there. So you have to always put yourself in the shoes of your website visitor, your members, your users, and cater everything on your website towards them. You have to assume that they may not know everything that you know. So going into this next step, this next question number 6, are you capable of reaching that audience? Here's a really good question at the top of this slide. If you have the perfect product, but nobody knows about it, is it going to sell? Obviously, the answer to that is no. So maybe you've identified your target audience. Maybe you've identified the problem that they're facing. Maybe you've already launched your website and you have that solution for them. But if nobody knows about it, you're not going to get any members, you're not going to be generating any revenue. So you have to get the word out about your solution, about your community, your directory website, whatever it may be. So in order to do that, you can market to them. We've gone over this quite a lot of times in our previous webinars. There's many ways you can market a directory website. You can use online ads, you can publish blog posts and create ads for them on social media. Depending on what your target industry is, you can use Facebook, Instagram, Google ads. It really depends on the target audience.
Here's the part where I see most people getting stuck is, again, it's really easy to set up a site these days, but the problem is getting stuck in the setup and the design stage. Generally speaking, most of us are not online marketers. We have an idea in our head of an industry we want to solve a problem for, so we go ahead and we set up the site, and exactly what this slide says, are you capable of reaching that audience? Most of us don't have, especially if this is our first website, don't have that experience of online marketing. My recommendation is don't shy away from the ability to try and reach your audience. I have 2 suggestions. One, don't burn cash on advertising if you're unsure of what you're doing and you don't have a proven funnel for attracting people to your site, capturing them as a lead, and then a follow-up process to eventually convert them into a free or a paying member. What I recommend is doing a little bit more grassroots. Start a Facebook group, put a banner of the mission and your purpose and why you exist, and you're getting people in this industry, and you have a goal to solve problems X, Y, and Z, and just get people behind your mission and your cause, and you can build a following organically that way. And that's probably the best way to start reaching your audience. It might be a bit slower in the beginning, but you can actually interact with real people. You can engage with them, get their feedback, figure out the words they're using to describe their problem, And that way you can refine your solution, so when you are ready for paid advertising with online ads and things like that, you know that you're going to be laser focused on converting those people with a proven funnel. So save your money, try to go grassroots, don't shy away from this part of your site. Try to wrangle up people in the industry. Facebook group is the best, is a good way to go. Depends on your industry, but generally speaking, Facebook groups have been very effective. You just have to explain your mission and your purpose and give people to click that join button in your Facebook group, and that's a great starting point. And again, it's free to set up and doesn't require too much of your resources. And then lastly, another way to reach your audience is to, an easy way to reach your audience is create useful blog articles for that industry, and then you can share those articles online in other communities where your potential audience is. Again, that's low cost, a little bit of time it takes, and it's a good way to start introducing your brand to your market. And then lastly, the most important thing, and I think everyone in this call probably falls into this category, that they are committed to their project.
Yeah, I think what you just touched on really rolls right into this last question really well. Taking kind of half a step back to that marketing aspect, figuring out how best to get the word out about your website. I think if you're able to choose an audience and a target industry that you are passionate about, that you're familiar with, that you know kind of how the ins and outs of, that'll make it easier to identify how best to get the word out about your directory website. And never underestimate the value of word of mouth. If you can provide amazing support and a good value, and you're familiar with your target audience and the target industry, the word may be able to just kind of spread on its own initially, and that'll really help get the ball rolling. But yes, ultimately you have to be passionate about your project, especially if you're in it for the long run. You're going to need to be able to sustain a certain level of enthusiasm about what it is you're trying to build, because without that enthusiasm, ultimately that will show in your end product. If you're not constantly involved in what's going into the product, your members will see that. They may begin to lose interest. So for constant growth, you need to put in that constant work on your end. And like I just mentioned, as you start to gain momentum, it eventually typically starts to grow kind of like a snowball, especially with that word of mouth aspect. Never underestimate that.
And a lot of times what we talk about is getting off the hamster wheel. And again, it's really easy to stay in that design and setup phase of your site, but we have to cycle through the different aspects of our business, reaching out to the community, getting feedback, identifying a new problem we need to solve, creating a marketing campaign to solve that problem, whether it's creating blog articles, setting up landing pages, and just bringing more attention to your brand. And then you can always come back to setting up your site and tinkering a bit more with it and the design and the colors and things like that. But you really should, because a lot of us wear multiple hats for running our businesses. We have to make sure that we're always growing and moving forward and cycling through the different aspects of running the business, not getting stuck in one end. And that's part of the commitment, is committing yourself to even working on the parts of your business that are uncomfortable and that aren't the fun parts of the business. So we have to get out of our comfort zones and explore new ways to always be perpetuating your online communities forward.
Yeah, that actually reminds me of the conversation we had quite a few webinars ago with Patrick Brunel from Directory Gurus. They released a free course kind of walking you through the beginning to the ready to rock and roll stage of launching a directory website, from actually finding that target audience, finding the problem, reaching out to those potential members, finding out what it is that they're looking for as in a solution, trying to provide that solution for them, getting feedback. There's a lot of back and forth that's required in order to make sure that you're providing your members, your users, your target audience with the solution that they truly need. like we've been discussing this entire webinar, you want to keep those members happy. That way you can maintain their membership on your site. And to do that, you need to get constant feedback, not only in the beginning stages, but also when years into after you've launched the site and everything's rolling smoothly. If there's any things that you can improve on them. But when you're first starting out, don't be afraid to just launch. Get feedback, and from there you can iterate and kind of go back and forth until you've hit kind of a healthy stage and a happy medium.
Yeah, and the good news actually is we have like a kind of summary of this 7-step checklist. However, again, even if you're rocking and rolling with your site, this checklist is great just to realign yourself and refocus yourself with your community. And from there, what we'd like to do is now take your questions and answers and see if we can help remove any roadblocks that are potentially hindering you from growing your community. And we could take a few questions here. It could be maybe you are stuck on setting up something on your site, or you've plateaued in some way, and we can maybe discuss some ways for you to help your site move forward. All right, we have Jeanette. Jeanette, how are you today?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Good, good. How'd you like the presentation so far?
Great. It's helpful. It just confirmed some of the things we just launched in June. So we're doing some of the things right, but we definitely still need some help as we take off.
Cool. Is there anything we can help you with today?
I do have one. There's a lot. We're driving the traffic as we're doing explainer videos, and so I'm getting people using that chat bot, and the only one that seems to be compatible with BD is the one through Messenger. And I'm getting feedback. People are like, yeah, but I don't want to sign into my Messenger, just ask you a question. Are there any chat bots to create that stickiness where they can do everything from the site that work a little better, that are more universal?
I actually have a couple options for you. So they're not necessarily chat bots where if you type a question, it'll give you an answer. It allows them to chat with your staff.
Live chat, yeah, that's what we're looking for.
What I recommend, and yeah, the Facebook Messenger is good because it also allows you to connect on a social level with them. Olark is really good and really straightforward and a really low price. So let me check out the pricing. I haven't been on their site for a while. But yeah, for basically under 20 bucks a month, they give you a super easy interface.
Great.
And I would recommend them. The one that we use on the Brilliant Directories website ourselves, because we have one, it's from a company called Live Chat. If you're getting a lot of chatters, is this the site, Dave? I think it's something else.
No, I think it's livechat.org.
Livechat.org. If you have multiple staff members working, yeah, this is the one. So this one's a bit pricier, but it gives you amazing stats. It allows you to convert chatters into leads. What's even better is as people are typing, it shows you a preview even before they send enter. So if they delete what they're about to write, your team actually can read a little bit of what's on their mind nice. Prior to them sending the message. So again, there's tons of free tools out there also. What I would look for is one that doesn't slow down, and these also don't slow down the load time of your site either.
Great.
They load behind the scenes after the rest of your site has loaded. So just depends on like what level, how many robust features you're looking for. As far as paid options, I think Olark is good.
Okay. That gives me a couple, just at least gives me options to look at, so that's great.
Okay, good friend Sharon. Sharon, how are you today?
Hello, good, thank you. How are you?
Good, good. Where are you calling in from?
Australia.
Okay, okay. Well, good morning to you. And yeah, is there anything we can help you with on your site?
Yes, so my site is supplychainmanager.co.
Okay.
And so we're a supply chain manager directory, as in basically if you're looking for experts to help you to address your supply chain logistics requirements, challenges and opportunities.
And your site helps people find businesses that can help in those different steps of the supply chain. Is that?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. So typically the businesses that would typically come to our site, they require assistance to address any supply chain issues that they may have with getting their goods out, managing their inventory, managing their purchasing. There's a lot of different areas within the supply chain, and they may need assistance with transportation, getting their products from A to B, etc. So I was pretty much just generally asking for a bit of feedback if there was anything particularly perhaps on the homepage that was could be a turn off or something that I could be improving to attract, well, more suppliers and also to attract more buyers for our suppliers.
Gotcha. So this is definitely a B2B website, obviously.
Yes. Yes.
First side comment, I love how you've used the featured article slider as a method for featuring members on your site. Very clever. Are these going to articles here about those members?
It just goes to a snapshot because I control the SEO on that page.
Gotcha.
So it gives them a snapshot and sends them to their storefront.
Perfect.
So yes, everyone gets a storefront. So I'm selling that that capability instead of saying profile, because a storefront basically gives you the capability to publish as much content to convince the buyer to take the next step to contact them.
So before I can make like any suggestions, I mean, the site looks nice. What's working for you on this page, and where do you have doubts of this page, of elements of this page that you think could be improved?
Well, I guess because I started off good. It's only just new, so it's only 2 months, and so we started off good getting members, and now that's completely slowed. And I'm also looking for other ways to drive more traffic to the website, even though that's probably, yes, I'm just not sure how better to use the site to attract more and to drive traffic to the site, where there's other things I could be doing to get more traffic.
And just one more question. You said that registering members has slowed. Are you targeting a specific area, like in Australia, or is this worldwide supply chain managers?
It's only, yes, so it's targeting just suppliers who are based in Australia, so they must need an Australian business number, because that's how I was able to set up the tax, customize the tax situation. But we try to attract buyers globally, so local and globally, so it doesn't matter where the buyers are coming from.
And is your site generating leads for these businesses? What kind of engagement are they getting?
Not much at the moment. So I don't know. I've asked them to track their lead source to identify where your leads are coming from. So no one's completing the lead form. So I haven't had any lead forms being completed. But if they're getting phone calls, so all the links are getting clicked and everything.
Gotcha. So now that you've gotten a bulk of members signed up, we want to make sure we retain them. And in a site like this, there's 2 ways to basically retain them. One is shower them with leads and referrals. The second is make them feel like their visibility on your site is worth the value of sticking around and staying on your site. So with that said, I think you're doing a good job of showcasing some businesses here, especially with this tool here. What I would recommend maybe is lose the search module here, and instead, now you're not trying to be a publication, you're trying to be a resource where people can connect, correct?
That's yes.
What I would recommend is, and I'm going to go to one of our demo sites. Here are just our classifieds. What I would recommend is being able to funnel, because we know we want people to do basically one of 3 actions. We want them to create a request, right? Actually, I'll go to our lead gen theme. I would recommend having the 2 buttons on the site and figuring out, one of them is connect with supply chain managers, or some verbiage where they can initiate the lead form and start filling out the lead form. Because then what you can do is, and I'll go to our lead gen theme here that doesn't have the 2 buttons there. But you see the button here, it says get free quotes. It's very generic because it's just a demo. You want to bring people, the consumers or the businesses that are looking for help, to a page like this, where they can fill out the form, and that will increase your probability of capturing leads and then being able to distribute them to your members, and then you'll be able to showcase value to them in that method. And then for the second button, I don't exactly know, I'm not too familiar with the industry, but you basically want to give people two options. In this case, it's post the classified ad or search for classified ads. It's very direct. So you can figure out what the two things are that you want people to do.
Yes. See, if you go down to the hero divider, see how I've got join free and post requests. Then it goes straight to the expert supply directory. And the third one is the free sourcing concierge, and that's the actual quote module.
Okay.
But maybe that's too far down to get to.
I didn't see it. I see you have it there. Let's try something. Can we just lose the search module here and
Yes.
see what that looks like? Because I wouldn't even. Yeah. Let's just see what that looks like real quick. What I am going to do is I'm going to want to maintain the padding so we see those smiley faces and we don't cut them off. So what I'll do is just the hero message, so hide search module, and I'll increase the bottom padding to 400. Let's see what that looks like. I would still recommend the buttons, using the two buttons.
Yes.
Because it is right there.
So one for the buyers, one for the suppliers, or both for the buyers?
Let's see. So if this is find suppliers, this takes you to join free and post requests.
Yes. Because I want them to actually join as a service seeker, and then they can actually post requests, and then those requests will go live, and the suppliers can just respond to them directly, or we'll help them source for them by using the free sourcing concierge.
Okay. So those. Okay. So I would have the two buttons. One of them for that for sure, and then it could be another one that services them as well. The more you show that your site is connecting people that need suppliers, the suppliers are going to understand that your site is inherently promoting them, because the whole focus of the site is to connect people with the suppliers. So the more you can press on that, and you are doing a good job with that, I think the easier it will be for the suppliers to want to join on and have a professional connection with your site. So yeah, I honestly, my only recommendation here, and we could talk about it more, would be to put the two buttons there as the call to action. That would be the best recommendation, because the search module, I don't know how many people are using that. I wouldn't even know what to search. With a site like this, I love the word concierge, and you're helping businesses save time and connect with the right suppliers and giving them choices of suppliers. I mean, you've created these beautiful landing pages here. Yeah, here, reduce sourcing time, all that good stuff. So, we want to bring people to these pages as quickly as possible. And then when you're on these pages, this is a bit, I would shorten these potentially as well. Like display website and social links, I would try with all your pricing forms. You don't need to detail everything. You should.
That's the buyer, sorry.
Right.
Not the supplier.
Right. So this one is for the buyer who needs the supplier. I would just focus on like the top 5 or 5 to 7 benefits of joining, rather than itemizing like easy to use dashboard and things like that.
Oh, okay. Did you want to have a quick look at my supplier one? If you click on the grow your business.
Sure.
If you think that's too much, you'll think this one is way too much.
So grow your business, I would also, because it's B2B, that I would say grow your, I don't know what supplier business, the one that is for the suppliers.
Well, yes, it was only up until 10 minutes ago I changed that when I saw your BD blocks. So it did say get a free listing.
Gotcha. So who are these people? These are suppliers?
Yes.
Supply chain manager. So grow your supply chain business? Is that more specific? Like
Yeah.
what would the
See, if
what
you,
noun would go in there?
yeah. See, if you drop down the expert suppliers, there's a whole range. That's all the different categories. So there's a wide range of categories.
Okay. Again, some of these things are very important. You might want to focus on like the 5 or 7 main ones, and then maybe link to a page that identifies all the perks and benefits of the level. The longer a pricing page is, the harder it is for people to make decisions, because it's a lot of information to absorb. So you might want to just stick to the 5 to 7 key talking points and benefits of these. That will help people make decisions a lot quicker. Another strategy is, rather than showing them these up front, you can have one form, and it's an application form. And after they fill out the free application form, then you send them the price list with the information. So
Yes, I
that
wondered that.
Yeah, so rather than having these prices here up front, turn this into an application process, and then rather than making this page public, just send them this page after they've completed the free application, because what you've done is essentially captured their email address, Sharon, and you know that they're interested, and basically this page is wonderful. You've piqued my interest. I would just love to see an application form here now. And make it seem like there's a little bit of red tape. Not everyone gets accepted. There's a vetting process. I think with a B2B site like this, you can put them through some hoops. And then, yeah, with an application, you basically add more prestige to your site, because it's a curated list of suppliers. It's a specialized list. Not everyone can just join and sign up.
Okay, I did want to actually do that, and I wanted to use the free checkout form, but when I put a message through to the help desk, the support tickets, they pretty much said we can't you don't really want to mess with the checkout pages because they're so delicate. Because I was going to use the checkout page for the free checkout. I wanted to turn that into a landing page so that they just go bang, they're straight there. They got the form.
So
they fill it out now.
So what I would recommend doing, let me share this, and then we'll move on. We'll move on because there's a couple other questions. We do have this is good. This is good conversation here, especially since you just started 2 months ago. We do have a method for adding confidence boosters. Let me see here.
I do have confidence boosters on the checkout.
Okay.
So I've already got that, but
okay. So then what you might want to do is something like this. Create a landing page. Let me see here. This is a demo site we were playing on. So basically do this. Create a landing page like this, and instead of the form here, just put the button that says click to apply, and then from this landing page, take them to the free sign up registration page. Does that make sense?
Okay. You're
already there. Like if we click on find suppliers, imagine if it was just like, it just ended here, and then there was a big button here that said click here to apply, and then just take them to the sign up page, and you put the confidence boosters on the sidebar. That should suffice as far as finishing that cycle, creating that cycle.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, I think you're doing a great job with your site. Join us in the next webinar, and we can kind of see the progress you've made.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sharon. Good stuff. Good to see that you're working on your site there. All right, gang, that'll end this webinar Wednesday. Don't forget the 7-step checklist, pre-launch checklist for your site. I shared the link to the article on our site. So if you want to kind of recap and get a summary of what we covered, you can check out that article. And also, Esteban, great work on BD Blocks. Can't wait to see more people using that. So if you guys want the free landing page builder, you can go to bdblocks.com and you can start building your pages. And the profile cover photo add-on has been released. I think it's a great way to give your members a little bit more ownership of their profiles and obviously add their own personal touch. And I can even foresee members using it as a way to promote their specials. It might not be a picture of an ocean. It might be a banner that has a promotion for advertising something about their service. So there's lots of different ways that your members are going to be able to use that profile cover photo. And if you haven't already done so, you can join us in our Facebook group. You can go to brilliantdirectories.com/Facebook. The next webinar won't be in 2 weeks. We're going to be taking 1 week off. It will be in 3 weeks. So we'll catch you in 3 weeks in the next webinar. But in the meantime, you can, of course, join us in the Facebook group, and we'll continue the conversation there. So on behalf of myself, Rick, and David, thank you guys for joining us for this webinar Wednesday. We will catch you in the next one, and have an awesome and productive week. Take care, guys.